let's be honest, we're surrounded by more information than we've been at any point in human history. But I think we're getting worse at understanding and interpreting it. Most of us spend time every day scrolling past hundreds of posts, headlines, videos, and opinions. But in reality, a lot of it is inaccurate, misleading, or just intentionally untrue. And that's the problem I want to talk about today. Because in the world we've built, information isn't just content we consume. It's something that's constantly trying to get into our minds to engage us. Now, there's two main ways that people react to this. Some allow that content to flow into their minds unrestricted, pushing and pulling their thoughts every which way. And then there's the critical thinkers, people who question and consider what they see. I'm going to make a bet that as you've chosen to watch this video, you're already a critical thinker. But even if you are, there are ways in which you can strengthen your critical thinking. So today, I'm going to explore how to approach it. And later in this video, I'll lay out some key methods you can actually use. Quick, simple steps to help you combat the overwhelm of content we experience every single day. To become the type of critical thinker we all need to strive to be in the information age. Okay, enough of the intro, let's dive in. I think it works to explain this problem using a very visual analogy. Imagine our minds being rubbed down by the abrasive torrent of content we're exposed to. Because I think our content feeds act a bit like informational sandpaper, removing the protective varnish from our brains, making them more porous and therefore more absorbent and reactive. Once that happens, the constant flow of information soaks in more easily with no barrier to help us pause and reflect on what we see. And over time, our minds become inflamed by constant exposure and end up struggling to process things properly. Worryingly, in response to the deluge of information that's out there, the nature of content itself has been forced to evolve. I don't need to tell you that attention is now the most valuable currency. But it's important to realize that that means everything has to work a lot harder just to stand out from the crowd. So content creators, organizations, and platforms now mix in shock, add a bit of outrage, and are much more likely to present things with certainty. Even if something isn't shocking, wouldn't normally inspire outrage, and isn't actually truth. The result is a never-ending cycle, and that's what we're stuck in right now. More content leads to less attention leads to more extreme content, and more extreme content leads to stronger reactions. Those reactions then train the system to do it all again, and the system is algorithms that shift information around online. But the most concerning thing isn't that content is changing in this way, because changes to content by themselves aren't a direct cause for concern. No, the real problem lies in the changes that the evolution of content is causing in us, in our behavior, in our understanding of the world around us, and in our ability to process and make judgments on the things we see. Critical thinking has always been important. Being able to weigh up information has been a key life skill forever. But we have to understand that the environment in which we now must engage in critical thinking has changed completely. That's because in the past, information moved much more slowly and it came through far fewer channels. Not only that, but the comparatively limited quantity of information we were exposed to meant we often discussed it with other people who saw the same stuff. That was important because it enabled us to gain multiple perspectives from people we knew. Now it's fast, personalized, and more often than not, consumed and reflected upon alone. That speed and solitude means we're much more likely to accept what we see at face value, especially when it aligns with what we already think. Remember, algorithms feed us what we want to see, and also when it triggers an emotional reaction, because in our minds, emotion feels like truth, even when it isn't. This is all concerning enough, but I'm afraid things get much more complex because the systems that are delivering this content to us aren't neutral. Neither are they tailored to be educational or set out to inform us about facts. Instead, they're designed for one thing and one thing only, to maximize attention, not accuracy. So the things that spread fastest are often the most simplified, the most polarized, and the most emotionally charged. And that's creating a world where feeling right can all too easily replace being right. So what can we actually do about all this? Because just knowing there's an issue isn't enough. To tackle it, we need a process, something we can apply in real time to the things we see. Well, the first step is obvious. We need to validate sources. Check who created a post or article and ask yourself if they have any credibility to back up what they're saying. The second step is to assess motive. Why does this piece of information exist in the first place? And what's gained if you or somebody else believes it and reacts to it? Ask yourself now, what am I getting out of making this video? More views? More subscribers? Hopefully, but only because I want to help people gain a clear picture of their relationship with technology. That said, don't take my word for it. You should apply the same level of critical thinking to what I publish as you do to anything else. The third step, and this is something that very few people do, is to analyze your own reaction. What did you feel when you saw a particular thing? Surprise, anger, validation? You could try something that I call the body response test. Check to see if your face is flushed or if your heart rate spiked when you read or saw that thing. Because often your reaction is an important clue. It gives you a pretty good idea of what a piece of content is trying to do. The fourth step is to cross-reference what you see with other sources. Is it being reported elsewhere? And also, has it arrived to you following any sort of editorial oversight? The fifth step is to stress test it, and this is where AI can actually be really useful. Use your preferred AI tool to question plausibility. Ask it to challenge a claim or story, not just confirm it. Remember in my video from a couple of weeks ago when I said that AI is a bit like an office building that you need to give a purpose in order that it can be productive? Well, this is a fantastic purpose to give it, working for you as a professional skeptic. Doing that will at least give you a different perspective from a source that doesn't gain or profit from you reacting in a particular way. But it's also important to realize that AI is not a one-shot answer. It's just another layer in a process that you need to be in control of. Because like everything else, AI operates within systems that themselves carry bias, incentives, and inherent limitations. So I'm afraid you're not going to find a single source or tool that will give you undiluted truth. That's just not possible. But it is possible to build a better understanding, a layered understanding that helps you cope with the world. Everything is becoming harder to decode because there's so much information bombarding us every day. Much of it is designed to influence people. That's the landscape that humanity has inadvertently built for itself. Now, one thing I personally think we should all be doing is limiting that flow of content, self-imposing time restrictions on our use of social platforms. That's doable and it can really help us to deal with the overwhelm, but it's just one tactic. It's not a cure. We now exist in an information-rich world, and aside from moving to a desert island and cutting ourselves off from the rest of society, there isn't much we can do to stem the flow of content. So critical thinking is essential for everybody. It isn't just an academic skill anymore. It's a form of personal defense, a way of maintaining control over how you process what's going on. Because if we don't question what we see, we risk being misinformed. Worse, we risk our minds being shaped without us realizing it. And in a complex web of systems designed to guide our behavior, having that awareness might be the most important skill we can achieve in the modern age. If this video helped you to see things differently, why not consider subscribing to the Layered Future channel? I release a new video every Wednesday, each one focusing on our relationship with technology and how it's changing what it means to be human. As always, thanks so much for taking the time to watch. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you again in the future.